Hi, everyone. It's me, Krylios, Team Racine Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is Adam Cunningham. Welcome.
Hello, hello. How you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
Doing all right.
Awesome, awesome. It's great to have you here. And let's get right into it. I want to start this out with just having you introduce yourself to our audience and letting them know a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. My name is Adam Cunningham. I'm a 26-year-old married Black man with two kids, and I am running for Maryland State Senate in the District 39. And
Ah.
and once I win, I'll actually be the first person in my family, my entire family, to have ever entered office.
I see. Now let's actually talk about that. What is it that has really inspired you to want to take this step into public office, and why at this time? Why is this time so perfect?
Yeah, there's actually a number of reasons why I'm running. But the simplest reason is just because I got tired of the politics as usual that we're all used to, the platitudes and empty promises that we've all grown accustomed to. It basically pissed me off to the point where I thought, you know what? I'm going to get into office just so I can prove that it's literal bullcrap that they tell us that we can't have better things or we have to wait for inordinate amounts of time for progress to occur. While people are out there going hungry, being evicted, going homeless, going destitute, being negatively impacted, or even dying from things that could have been entirely avoidable or avoided entirely if people in our state and local government specifically would just, for lack of a better phrase, nut up against the special interest, against the naysayers that think that we shouldn't do anything and just do something about the issues now. And, when it comes to running this year, one of the main reasons is because, it's midterm elections. And given that this was the most recent election cycle, I decided to put my hat into the race. But one thing would like to point out, though, my opponent right now, her name is Nancy King. She's actually the incumbent, and she's the state Senate majority leader. And the thing about being the state Senate majority leader is, you have a lot of power, especially within your party, within your caucus, to whip support for certain legislation, whether it's one thing or another, whether it's like a budget or anything like that. And she refuses to utilize her power to whip support for the good progressive legislation that has been proposed either in the state Senate or has been brought to the state Senate by, the House of Delegates. And one would like to, I'd like to ask why that is, you have the power to enact actual good, positive, progressive change. You're not doing anything with that power. Why is that? I mean, we could make a few assumptions, the fact that she's got a lot of money from different special interests, but it's that kind of weakness that we should not allow to persist in.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the changes that you'd like to see or actually like to bring to the state Senate if elected.
Yeah, so I'm actually running on probably one of the most progressive left-leaning certain in terms of legislature or legislation. With the full intention of putting these proposals to action, from my first day of being a state senator. I would like to preface this, though, by saying that although these are issues that I'm running on to push and advocate for while I'm in office, my main goal throughout this campaign is to raise awareness of the community-based solutions that we can have towards solving these problems outside of the influence of the state or the government at large. This includes promoting mutual aid strategies and tactics that can be immediately utilized to better the lives of those around us and ourselves. Now, in terms of policy positions, specifically, we've got, for example, when it comes to housing, I want to expand home ownership programs to make it so that make it easier for people to own homes rather than rent in the state. I want to expand tenants' rights, to fight for like the right of first refusal, which is a policy basically saying that if you have a tenant, like if a landlord has a tenant living in their house and they want to sell their house for any reason, the tenant has the first, they have the right to be the first one to refuse purchasing the house, right? And then we can work out ways that the government can help to like subsidize them when it comes to the purchase of that house, if they want to. And if they don't want to, they can refuse, and then the landlord can go ahead and sell it to whoever else wants to. That's the whole idea of the right of first refusal, something like that. Instituting rent control and rent stabilization, because our rent prices have been increasing almost like exponentially throughout the years, and you don't see any sort of movement towards fixing that, like towards stabilizing those prices, and then and allowing people to actually have some sort of breathing room while we increase our wages and increases our like opportunities and stuff. You don't see that kind of stuff happening, coming out at least from the state legislature. So that's something else that I'm trying to push for. And then of course, increasing housing density. That's one of the main issues why we see the price of rent being so high in the state, and the price of housing, the cost of living being so high in the state, is not only because just the costs have been steadily rising over time, but we also are experiencing a housing shortage, right? So in crucial areas where we're experiencing a lot of growth, we're not experiencing the subsequent housing increases in those areas. And as such, the price for housing increases and people can't afford to live where they're at, right? So one of my plans is to try and enact some policy to make it so that to change the zoning laws in this state so that we can increase like multifamily housing in the state, increase apartment complexes, duplexes, things like that. I think a majority of the state is zoned for like single family housing and not even really commercial housing in a lot of areas. And it's for that reason that you don't see a lot of the density increasing, right?
Yeah.
The housing increasing, because it's just a single family house. That means one family can live there, and you got these houses, small houses, living on huge tracts of land that could otherwise be put towards creating big, huge apartment complexes for people to live in, right? and then that also has the added benefit of lowering overall rent prices, and because of the fact that the housing supply is subsidized, right?
Yes. So quite a lot of plans.
Yeah. That's just on housing. I got plenty more.
Well, let everyone know why you're the best choice for the voters as opposed to the incumbent.
Well, I believe that at least in comparison to the incumbent right now, I think I have the tenacity, the will, the stubbornness, one could say, to actually push for the policies that need to be enacted in this day and age. Whether it's we're talking about unemployment insurance, overhauling that, overhauling our tax code, increasing access to housing, or increasing the minimum wage. I have the willpower to be in office, to push for those things, to push back against anybody who says, oh yeah, we shouldn't do this right now, or why should we do this here, or can we negotiate here? No. Okay, the time for negotiation has passed, in my opinion, on a lot of these different issues, whether it's healthcare, whether it's housing. We see the effect that negotiations have wrought on our society, on this state, right? If I put it, using as an example, the 2021 legislative session for the state legislature, there was a lot of things that were passed that were good, but there were also a lot of things that were watered down and then also ended up passing, but then were shot down by the governor. And then as a matter of fact, with the special session that started in Maryland, I think it started back in like November, a few weeks ago. the idea was that they were going to start the special session, go in, vote for the things that the governor vetoed, and then, move on from there. But what ended up happening was, we had the Senate leader, I think his name is Bill Ferguson, and then also Nancy King herself being silent on pushing for passing some of the legislation that actually passed in the prior session, and getting those and just overriding Hogan's vetoes for those. They were just sitting on their hands, talking about we can't do this right now because we want to make sure that we pass the right legislation, or that I forget what Bill Ferguson said specifically, but basically it didn't make any sense, right? It was passed initially, and it should have been passed again. It wasn't even. It was already a compromised bill, right? It wasn't going to have the full impact that we wanted it to have, and yet we're still here trying to negotiate it down. And then you have Nancy King just sitting on the sidelines, not doing anything about it, right? Not trying to push for increasing the minimum wage, which could have been passed during the special session. We didn't see her trying to push for overhauling our unemployment insurance system, which has been broken for like decades now. You see stories of people who've been applying for either Social Security or unemployment insurance for years, and they still haven't received it. And the reason for that is because, it's our system is just broken, and it needs to be fixed. And it could be fixed if the funding was there, if the willpower was there. And given that our state Senate majority leader does not feel like she has the power to do any of that, to push for that kind of change, I'm just there to let her know that it's entirely possible. And if she can't do it, I will.
I see. So when does voting begin, by the way?
So in the state of Maryland, voting begins on, for the primaries at least, on June 28th.
June 28th, 2022. So I just want to make sure that all our viewers know that to get vote ready, if you want to be ready by June to vote and everything, you can check your status and register to vote. You can text Team Racine to 40649, courtesy of headcount.org. Adam, if people wanted to learn more about you, learn more about your campaign, support your campaign, follow you on social media, or just contact you, how could they go about doing that?
Yeah, so I have a campaign website. You can look me up. It's adamformaryland.com. It lays out all of my policy positions. I got a little bit of biography talking about my life and what my experiences that brought me to the decision to run for office, and my own personal politics. And then, of course, I have my social medias. You can follow me on Twitter, like my campaign page on Facebook. I'm usually on Twitter often. So if you want to get in contact with me directly, that would probably be the best avenue to do so. But again, my website, you can shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you want to help out with the campaign, whether it's volunteering or donating, anything like that, yeah, just feel free to use those avenues.
Awesome. And to our viewers, those links will be in the description below. Adam, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been such a pleasure chatting with you, and I wish you the best of luck on your campaign.
Thank you. It was great to
Thank you. Of course. And to our viewers, please follow Team Racine on all forms of social media, like, comment, and subscribe. And most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.